You actually don't have to undo these little clamps here. Strut out. Well, here I used a pry bar, pulled the strut out. I actually pulled out a metal plate out of it, so I don't recommend doing that part unless you're gonna get new. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be working on my BMW 335. We have some suspension work that we gotta work on. Can't quite tell now, but got some grinding when I turn the wheel over here on the rear strut. As you can see, this thing's torn up, and as you can see, the strut is completely soaked in oil, which means it's completely blown out. So to help out with that, got some parts here. All of these parts are basically going to be stock replacement parts. Got the struts for the back, for the front. I got this mounting kit for the struts for the front. I believe that this is the issue that I have with the grinding when I turn the wheel. Can't figure out anything else. Then I got some dust boots, and some of these mounting bump stops that, as you've seen here, is damaged. And then I got this strut spring compressor from AutoZone as a rental. I'm guessing I'm definitely going to be needing that, as I will be reusing my stock springs to mount all this up. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and do, lift the car up. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and remove the back wheel. One thing to note is when you look at your strut, it disappears up here somewhere. What that means is it is mounted up here somewhere. I haven't taken this whole thing off, but it's got to be mounted up here somewhere. So just doing a quick look at this interior here. Got some of these plastic secure pins or whatever they're called that's got to come off. So I'll go ahead and take those out. Looks like this may have to come out as well. Remove this liner, take a look at what it looks like in there, get the wheel off. And the thought is we're going to start with the back first, as that's the part that makes the most noise, and then after that going to move on over to the front. Alright, so let's take a better look at what this looks like down here. So I got the wheel off, and as you can see, the bump stop here is destroyed. Now keep in mind the car's not stock, so it's making some power, and obviously when you get on it, the back squats a little bit, and of course it did a number on this bump stop here. And as you can see here, looks pretty bad. So the good news is, looking at the trunk here, just as I mentioned, you got these two little plastic clips that come off. This guy here sits over there. When you go to pull this guy off to the side, it's gonna look like this can make it, and it can bend out of the way. Ultimately what I found out is you're just gonna break it, so just take it off. It's like a Torx 40, I believe. Just take it off, takes 2 seconds. Remove that, move this guy off to the side. This plug will be up here, and when you get in here, it looks like it's just maybe a 15. To take that off, same with under the car here. Let me look. So, let me show you guys here. Alright, and if you can't tell, this little nub here looks like it's maybe 8mm or whatever. That can be used if it starts spinning. You hold on to this, and while you're loosening the nut, that way you can get better leverage to get this to come off. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart and toss in a new one, and we'll see how easy it fits in there. It looks almost too easy to be true, so I'll let you guys know here in a second. I wasn't able to get the nut off with the 16mm socket. Kept on spinning, so instead 5/8 box wrench, got a 6mm holding the head of the the top of the stud of the strut. And basically what you do is you hold on to the socket up here, and you undo this nut, and once you kind of break it loose, as you can see, it comes off by itself fairly easy. I'm hoping that the one below isn't this difficult, because you don't really have this amount of space to work with, or at least it didn't look like you did. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and see how the one on the bottom looks, and hopefully it's a little bit easier than this. Alright, so here I have all of the parts, the old strut and the new strut, and I just want to show you guys what all comes with the new strut and what comes off the old strut onto the new strut. So when you order the new strut, you basically can just order the, here's the part number in case you guys are interested, but this is just like the stock replacement Bilstein B4 or something like that. You get that. I knew that my cover was cracked, so I ordered a new one along with the bump stop. However, the top nut that I was telling you guys about, where you gotta move these little things back, that does not come, so you gotta reuse that. There is like a little hat that goes on top of the stopper, or on top of the strut, that also gets reused. You have this metal cap that also gets reused. And then from here on, right, this is the part here, this is your bump stop, which mine is in there, the yellow thing. As you can see here, this is all torn up, but at the bottom here, when you go to take off the strut, you might get lucky if you can take this guy off here, this 17mm nut, to be able to pull this out. I wasn't, simply because you can see how corroded and rusted this thing is. So what I ended up doing was I took this whole mount out, using the two screws at the bottom. I didn't check my mount. I just assumed that it was good. I don't know why I did that, but I'm gonna check it out when I take it off. But if yours is not in good shape, obviously right now would be a good time to change it. I'm probably just gonna reuse mine and see where we go from there. But this is another way to get this strut out if you can't simply just undo this nut here and pull it out. As you can see here, this is the part that goes into the mount. Now if you are unscrewing the 17mm nut and it starts to spin, you do have this little area here where you can hold the strut from spinning, because you will not have access to do what you did up here, which is basically hold the stud and undo the nut with the box wrench. That does not work for the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap the things over and get it back onto the car. All right, so I got the mount put in down there. Make sure you put the mount in first, otherwise you're gonna struggle to line this thing up. So I got the strut put together. So as you can see, this is how this thing goes. You got this little guy up here, you got this metal hat, then you got this bump stop, which I recommend order new because yours is probably shot as well. And then you got the boot cover, so, or dust cover. So dust cover, get this guy on there, get this guy on there, and this guy, that, and then you can actually compress it by hand to sneak it in here, like so. Alright, so it'll seat into the hole down here. Alright, and then you can physically pull this thing down with your hand, like so. Alright, and then line it up, and then have it go back up in there, and you should be done. Just go from the inside. Got to put the nut from the inside of the trunk. Got to get the nut from the bottom down there. And this side is done. All right, so here's the other side. It's essentially rinse and repeat. You got a few plastic tabs here. Then you pop that cover off. You take this guy off. You actually don't have to undo these little clamps here. They just seem to hold it in place, not necessarily like keep it down and not let it move. The whole thing was spinning when I was trying to undo it simply because of the pressure on it rather than the nut holding on to this metal plate. So that's good. That's one less thing you gotta do on this side. Once again, same thing here. You got the strut, you got the dust cover, you got the bump stop, the metal plate, the other guy. One thing I did try doing on this side here is I actually didn't take this mount out. I left it in, and the reason I took this mount out from that side was because I had a heck of a time trying to pull the strut out. Well, here I used a pry bar, pulled the strut out. I actually pulled out a metal plate out of it, so I don't recommend doing that part unless you're going to get new mounts, lower mounts, which I recommend. They're kind of beat up. If you have any kind of mileage on the car, mine has 130,000 miles on it, so I mean it's pretty beat up. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to use those simply because I don't have any on hand to replace, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. But overall, fairly easy. I took the metal plate, just slid it back in. The mount actually kind of like made like a slit, and the thing popped out of it and then came off with the old strut. Just slipped it back in. I'm gonna go ahead and put this strut back in. I'm gonna show you guys. So the other strut, actually I don't know if I showed you this one, but this one here was like completely apart. So this is what it's supposed to look like. This whole thing popped out of the body. The other side, although it had tension, it was not coming back up. So push it down, not coming back up, not doing anything. So glad I got both of these things replaced. Gonna go ahead and put that one in, and then hopefully I can go ahead and do the front ones in a different episode to show you guys how those are done.